And joining me, as always, is your co-host, Jim.
It's in the cards, Brian. It's in the cards.
Oh my God, I hope the internet works fine for us this week because we're already dropping frames like a mofo. Oh, the internet. It's always Tuesday, isn't it? It's always...
Yep.
It is every
It is
Tuesday.
every Tuesday. I don't know why.
Patch Tuesday.
Hopefully it's...
Happy Mardi Gras.
It
Anyway.
seems to have stopped. Is it Lent or Mardi Gras? I thought Lent
Mardi Gras.
started.
I thought it was tomorrow.
You know what? You're
Ash
probably
Wednesday.
right. You're probably right.
Whatever.
You're probably right. Also joining us is your co-host, Hunter.
You know, I got to thinking if I could get Terry Crews to do the voice of my GPS, then I could call it cruise control.
Oh.
You know, a lot of people don't think that's how it is, but it is.
But it is.
You know
yes!
what? I still want Brian Blessed as my GPS. I still want Brian Blessed. Because he would be great. Why can't I hear myself? I don't know why I can hear myself. Anyway, that's weird. I already said Hunter. So we have two guests joining us this week, guys. Where are you calling from, gentlemen?
I'm in New York.
Okay, New York.
And I'm in Toronto myself.
Okay. So joining us from New York and Toronto, from NeoCrux, we have Trevor Worrell, game developer and playtest coordinator.
Hi.
And we have Sebastian Shadal, game designer, programmer, creative director, and also the president. And a client.
Thanks.
And a client.
Welcome, Mr. President.
So, guys,
I think we went
no,
over this
he's
already.
not the president. He's just a
No,
president. Sorry, I get those confused.
A president, not the president. That'd be a whole different podcast if we had the president on here. Oh God.
What games do you play, Mr. President?
Well,
It'll be like Call of Duty.
Well, I like a little Call of Duty, and then
Bomberman.
And
Oh, yikes.
and then I like Don Wine with Little Mario. That was a terrible Barack Obama impersonation. I apologize. We are here, my friends, to talk about a card-based 4X called GalaCollider. I've played this before on the channel. Oh, man. Yeah, we're still dropping frames. The internet's having issues. Let's make sure
Just
nothing...
let it be.
Let it be. We're recording. They'll get the audio.
Let it be. Let it be. Anyway,
Bust out the song.
that's fine. So let's start a multiplayer game. Do you guys have one running?
Sure, I can start up game now quick.
All right. Now, this is a card-based 4X, so there are decks. And remind me, there will be single player if I'm remembering correctly. That's correct, right?
Yeah, currently we're actually in the process of making tutorials, single-player tutorials.
Oh,
and then we're
okay.
gonna kind of take those tutorials, make some puzzles based on them, and then puzzles will be like a single-player little game where you can kind of go into little brain teasers and figure out how to solve these complex scenarios.
Oh, okay.
That's
So,
like our first little step into it.
okay, but you are
And then-
planning... Sorry, go ahead.
And then long term, we're going to be adding more and more features for single player. But it's also a very rich online community game. So, there'll be opportunities to play co-op versus a computer player,
Yeah.
which could be a
beautiful.
raid or survival mission. And then the game itself is going to have an evolving story where you're moving into different areas of space and encountering new characters, new things, which translate into cards, but then those new areas will have maps. So all different kinds of rotating achievements and ways to play the game will be kind of part of it. So it's kind of like an ongoing campaign that everyone's participating in. And then, the last stage of the single player mode will be adding beyond the puzzles and beyond the co-op versus AI or you could, eventually we'll have like an AI simulator for a player, but we do plan on eventually having a single player game. It's just need to, as we go down the road, we're going to have to make decisions in terms of priority, like what do we do next? And a lot of that will also come from our players and what they're interested in. So we'll see how fast the full single player campaign comes into play. And like I said, right now we're doing it in stages. And yeah, the puzzles is the first step. So they teach you as well as challenge you the game in different ways.
Nice. But right now it is just multiplayer. And how many players can you have in a game?
Right now the game is one-on-one setting, but eventually there will be like say team play and free-for-alls and that kind of thing too.
Oh, so that's why I can't join this game because someone already has. It's only 2 players a game for now.
Yeah, for right now it's just
I just jumped
one-on-one
out.
modes.
I'm jumped out, Brian. You get in.
Okay, thanks. I was like, why can't I join? I want to join. God damn it. Okay. So yeah.
Well, eventually later you can also spectate, but and do replays like you would in StarCraft. But
Oh.
right now, yeah, it's just 1v1. We're starting with this and then getting this to be solid, and then we're gonna branch
Yeah.
out from here.
Think of the 1 versus 1 mode as like kind of the foundation, and you build the foundation from there.
Got it. So how long have you guys been working on this game? Because I did play it with you guys back in September, but you had been working on it for quite a while before that, if I recall.
Yeah, we definitely have been working on it for a while still. Seb, how long would you say exactly it's been now?
Oh wow.
From like the initial concept to now, how far do you think that is?
We lost
we
him.
lost him.
Oh
Disconnected.
no.
Oh, bad timing.
What the
Well,
what?
it's definitely been like over a year at least from when like say Seb came up with the idea and decided to become the president, as you called it.
Right. Right. So the game is definitely the game definitely since I last played looks a lot more refined. I will tell you what, the interface looks
Yeah.
cleaner, the
Rat
graphic
moved in from public channel by table
There
for
he is.
the interface looks cleaner and better. Like I really like how the colony ships are very distinct now. Like if I recall last time I played, they weren't as distinct.
Yeah, there's been a lot of improvements from last time to now. Also, a big improvement I would say is that all the cards that you kind of they have the little info button. The info buttons on the cards actually work now,
Oh,
so you can actually
very
click on the
nice.
cards to see what they do. So before, if you might remember, during our September demo, let's say like our colony ship here has the colonize module. When you click on it, or I'd have to tell you what it did because the game didn't bother to tell you. But now the info button works, and you can click on that, and it'll be like, oh, so this is what it does.
Right. I see.
The info button just still isn't styled a lot yet. It's very raw, but that's
Yeah.
coming later.
It's definitely a big improvement over what we had, like, given the original version that he was playing on.
Oh, very nice. Okay. So basically, folks, it's really neat because you have a deck of cards here. Well, you have a set of cards. You always have 6 cards. That's still the same, right? That hasn't changed, right? You
Yeah,
always
you
have
start
6
with
cards.
you start with 6 cards in your hand, and the idea is that you draw 1 card a turn from your deck,
Right.
and then also you have the option during a turn to spend research. On the right there, you click your deck, and you can do research to draw a card. The idea is that you can kind of dig for a lot of options if you feel like you need them. Lets you kind of whiff through your deck quickly and find your cards and play them. So the idea is not like you feel starved of cards, but rather you have lots of choices to make in a turn.
You actually start with 1 less card than you did before.
Oh.
Yeah, before it would have been like 7. Now it's like 6, I think. Is that correct?
Okay, yeah, because I thought, if I recall correctly, 6 is like the limit of what you can have at any time. Well, have at any time.
So what we did is we're in the middle of doing a change to the hand mechanic, and it's part way through that change. Now the limit is 7 cards, and we're currently in Alpha 4. When we get to Alpha 5, you're not going to be allowed to go over your hand limit. So there'll be more like slots, and that'll allow us to also spread the cards out in your hand more, so you'll be able to see all the artwork of all the cards at the same time. And it'll also remove the need to have to discard, which will is going to make turns even faster, because if you can't draw, you can't draw. Whereas now, like, you can overdraw, and then if you try and end turn, it'll say you have to discard, and it's like, oh, I have to spend 15 more seconds trying to figure that out. So.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, I should point out that a big change that we've had from like when you played to now is you might notice these little tips are appearing at the start of your turn.
I do like that. Yes.
Yeah,
I do like
they
that
also
quite a
kind of
bit.
direct you and give you tutorials on how to play. So right now you get like the start of turn 2, how to win. It tells you exactly what stars are and how many of them you need to win the game. So that's another thing where before I would have had to explain all that to you manually, but now it's just here for you.
Right. Why can't I build a shipyard here? Damn you.
You can't build a shipyard on your core world. That they don't let you do that because your core world can already produce ships. So the game kind of says, hey, you don't want to do that.
Okay.
Also, when you try to do it on the top, your little tip display or HUD tips will actually tell you like, you can't do that on the core world. It'll say you can't build a ship here because you don't have enough resources, or it'll actually give you the reason.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. And so
Yeah, for
yeah,
every ship now too, at the top of the screen, when you click on the ship, it gives you like a little word about the card. Like, it might be like, use colony ships to add new neutral sectors to your empire.
oh, I see.
So you're getting like a lot of tips and pointers and little helpful tricks that you didn't get before when you played the old version of the game.
No, you didn't, which is nice. Which is real nice. Okay. So I don't think I can do much now this turn, so I'm just gonna let it go. And explore. So there are two
I'm
phases.
also going to end.
So there are two phases of the game. There's explore and there's combat.
Yes.
And combat only happens when shit.
It's gotten a little bit more nuanced than it was before. Combat used to only happen when opposing ships would walk into each other. Now combat will happen if a ship, like your ship, is on an enemy sector, or if there's ships in front of each other. So for example, if I say take my little frigate, like my little bruiser, and I throw it at your core world, but you have no ships there, we'd still have a battle phase because I have a ship on your sector. That lets you play operation cards. You might have an operation card that, say, does 2 damage to a ship during the battle phase. That lets you use that card, where otherwise you wouldn't be able to.
Oh, what the hell? Game just minimized itself for no apparent reason.
Oh.
That's weird. Okay.
Don't minimize yourself, game. God,
I know,
we're in the middle
right?
of something.
So these maps are randomly generated, if I remember correctly.
Yes, and in fact, this map we're playing on right now is a pretty funky
It is.
generated.
It is.
I'd say the right side looks to be normal, but the left side, what the heck's going on there?
I dig it. I dig how weird this is.
It is quite the little interesting map. I would say it changes. See, things like this are interesting because they change your decision making on the fly quite a bit. Sometimes you'll get maps that are very defensive oriented, but a map like this, I would say actually isn't very defensive oriented at all. It's very open.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, you kind of have a bottleneck right here. You have two little. It's weird. Like, there are multiple ways to my homeworld, but there's a bunch of shit you'd have to get through. Excuse me, stuff. I'm trying to curse less. I curse a lot. I'm trying to curse less. There's a bunch of stuff you have to get through to get to my homeworld, and same with me. Like, if I wanted to get to your homeworld, I'd have to either slog through these 3 systems over on the left for me to get there, or I'd have to slog through on the right. 1, 2, probably 3 again. 1, 2, 3, still 3, but which 3? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a matter of it's also the colony ships at the start of the game. On the left side, it's like where we place them, they could actually walk into each other and start little contesting fights. Or on the right side, that just wouldn't happen really. Right. So it can change it up that way too.
Right. Why can't I move this colony ship? Okay, there's a colony ship I have, and yet I can't seem to move it anywhere.
Well, there's a couple things. You got to make sure that the sectors are connected, so it has to be like, say, your core world's connected
that's
to the next
why
sector.
There's a battle. There's a battle? Where's the battle?
Could be. Yes, we're on battle phase. In fact, yes, once again, you see the little tip for a battle phase now.
Where's the battle? Oh, you son of a... How'd you get...
I got a little bruiser on your world there. You'll notice now that the circle where the battle is actually glowing. So you have a little glow there to tell you there's a fight in this area. And then when you've done your battle phase, there's an end battle button, just like there was an end explore button.
Wow. This is not
So
fair.
at this point, I'm gonna attack your poor little colony ship with my 1 attack ship. It's just like a dinky little bruiser, it doesn't really do much. But it can look at your colony ship and say, I don't like you, but it can't kill it. It just doesn't like it.
Right.
It hit end battle and it's gonna fire at him for just 1 point of damage, nothing special.
Ow! Hey, he's on fire! Son of a gun! Son of a gun. Yeesh.
Yeah, we've added that little effect in now, so you have a damaged ship. So you look at your colony ship, it's damaged, you can see smoke actually coming out of it now to show that this guy got hurt.
That guy did get hurt. I don't like that. I don't appreciate that at all.
Fair point. It's probably not something that you take kindly to.
No, I do not. Oh, my deck is not great. Let's see. Okay. So one of the things I like about not only the card system, but the two-phase system here is that it keeps things moving quickly. You know,
Yeah,
like
definitely.
because the card limits the decisions you can make. Like I can only do one because of the resources I have up here.
Yep.
Materials, research, and energy. I can only do a certain amount of things per turn, but also with the cards I have, I can only do certain things per turn.
Yeah, definitely. So everything's kind of self-limiting in that way.
So how?
And that's really important to us, is to make sure that your decisions are primarily driven by the cards in your hand. And indeed, our goal is to make games playable, especially once we get a clock put in the game. If you wanted to play it head to head, you could get a small map, maybe 20, 30 minutes. And then, of course, it could have bigger maps where it's like 40 minutes or an hour for one session. Or you could play a game over many days if you do like a play-by-mail style. So you take a turn and then you get like a little notice that your opponents have finished their turn. And because it's simultaneous as well, like even if you're playing 8 people on the same map, your turn length doesn't go up because you all take the turns at the same time. So your turn's only as long as either the clock or the slowest person if there's no clock.
Right, and I
Yeah.
dig that because it keeps things efficient. It kind of boils down a lot of things in a 4X to like its essence, which is good. Now, how do I attack another ship? Like I've
All
got
right, so you have an attack here. You have your Phoenix. You want to attack my Bruiser. All you
Yeah.
gotta do is click your Phoenix,
right.
click my Bruiser, and then you Bruiser again to make the little red line crosshairs show up, and that means
Oh,
you've set
so-
it to attack.
So you double click it. Got it.
Clicking once to target it, and then once again to say yes, do that one.
The colony ship.
When
has
you're
no
ready with that
weapons.
attack, you're gonna hit end battle, and then they'll fire. And now let's say you didn't make that attack, you just hit end battle. The game will actually remind you that you have attacks still remaining.
Son of a bitch.
So you killed my ship. Your sector there is no longer contested. When it was contested, it meant you couldn't build any ships or devs there now. But now that it's freed up, you can build ships there again.
Nice, but I don't have.
Which is important.
See, if I don't have cards to build ships, I can't build a ship. Is that correct?
Build ships always on your core world, because if you look at the core world, it has that little wrench icon beside it. The wrench icon is letting you know that it can build ships.
Oh, so okay.
Yeah, so the idea is like if you build a shipyard on something that's not your core world, it's also going to end up having that wrench icon. Doesn't start that way though.
Oh, so how do I build a ship then here without a ship
Alright.
card?
So if you got a ship card like a colony ship you want to play, the first thing you want to do is make sure you actually have the resources to play it.
Right.
So like to build a colony ship, let's say it's like cost 3 and 3. Build a 3 and 3 colony ship, you need at least 3 materials, 3 research. You can look on the top right of your screen to see how many you currently have.
Right. But I'm saying if I don't have a card to build a ship, I cannot build a ship.
Yeah,
You
as
always
long as
have
it's
A colony ship. I know I have the colony ship, but that's it. You know what I mean? Like I have no other ship cards, so the colony ship is the only one I could build if I wanted to.
Yeah, unless you draw more cards. Remember, you can draw cards from your deck by hitting that little card draw button if you have the research.
Card draw button.
Yeah, on the right of your side of your deck there's a little research button on top of your deck.
Oh,
Click
look at
that,
that.
and then it'll draw you more, and then you can keep finding more stuff to play.
Look at that. Oh,
Handy. It's very handy. It's worth using that.
it is. That is handy. I did not know that's what that did.
Yes, it's the
Well,
very important card draw button.
That
So-
is very important.
So there's 2 ways you can use your research, and that's often another decision you need to make. You can use your research to either draw new cards, or you can use your research to buy new cards that you'll get for later. So the tech pool is on the left. On the bottom left, there's like a little blue button, and if you hit that, you'll see 3 cards that are currently on offer right now to buy. So that's another way you can spend your research.
Right. So I could buy a Dreadnought card if I wanted to, but that doesn't get me the Dreadnought. That just gets me the card to be able to build the Dreadnought. I'd still need the resources for that Dreadnought.
Yeah, you need the resources to play it too. So it's kind of like the cards, like say, casting costs to play it.
Right. So there's a cost to get it, and there's a cost to play it. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
assuming you don't just draw it naturally. If you draw it at the start of your turn, then you don't gotta pay the cost to draw it.
Right.
Because you always draw 1 card at the start of every turn.
Yeah, And as you're taking up more sectors, you're going to get more resources from sectors that could let you draw more cards. And also some sectors, when you colonize them, they'll just give you cards.
Oh.
I think I took one this game that was like colonize it, draw a card. So they do exist. So you can draw cards even off of that.
Right.
Some of them might be you might have a sector that's like, say, when you buy a tech card from your tech pool on the like bottom left there, you draw a card.
Is there a way to repair ships that have been damaged?
There actually is a module on certain ships called Repair that will repair damaged ships. I don't think your current deck has any of them, but they do exist.
Oh.
We're just playing on like simple demo decks, so they're not too complicated, so they don't delve too far into it, but they do exist.
Oh no, that's very cool. That's very cool. All right, let's get another. What did I get? Ooh. And I can afford that. I love the name of this one particular thing, the Fire Rain.
Yeah, because it rains fires on their enemies with the bombs. Those bombs are very useful.
I
Gotta
really
love
like
the
that.
bombard mechanic.
Yeah, not enough games have that, in my opinion. Not enough space strategy games have a planetary bombard mechanic. You know, and I love games that do, like Distant Worlds has it, and Imperial Galactica has it. I think Emperor of the Fading Suns was my favorite with that, because you can actually target individual tiles on the planet. That was great.
Sound fun.
Oh, that was. Oh, I see you assembling. Will you always be able to see what the other player is doing?
The way it works is you can see what you have long-range scanners basically, and the long-range scanners are letting you see my little triangle blips that I have in the areas. But there is also a mechanic called obscured. Obscured makes it so that you can't see the triangles in that sector. So some planets, nebulas, will have the obscure module in play, which just means you can't see triangles. So not always.
Oh.
There's also there also is actually a development that the Scythe have that actually adds the obscure to that sector, so you can hide information from your opponent. That's the big part of the game, obviously, is information and how much they can see and how much they can't see.
Oh.
And in the future, we're planning on playing a lot with things like stealth and espionage to add even more ways to deceive your opponent.
Oh, that's pretty
Oh, yeah.
awesome. Cause
Gotta get the spies in there.
yeah, you gotta have stealth and espionage. Gotta. I also like the resource exchange mechanic. I like
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
That is pretty simple. That's very simple and effective. Like I was just able to get a card I wanted from research by trading some materials for some research. That was nice.
Yep. I mean, the way it is there's simply going to be times when, say, you have too much of a resource and you want to throw something else, so we go, hey, why not let them?
It's still painful though for the 2-to-1, but yeah, it's definitely good so you can adapt to your strategy more. But when you're deck building, you're also trying to think like, okay, how can I use all my resources as efficiently as possible without having to trade, unless I really need to. So it's part of the because right now we're also doing some deck building to test out deck building aspects in the game, and it's also another fun part of it is dealing with those 3 resources when you're making your deck.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, so you colonize that sector, and you might notice there's a big red swirl around it now, the one you just took, because I moved a ship in.
Son.
That ship I moved in is a raider. He's actually reducing the resources that place produces now. So you actually notice the numbers on the bottom have gotten red. So you get 1 material now from it instead of 2.
Oh, son of a
Used to give
gun.
1 energy, now it gives 0. So this little rhino is actually hurting you quite a bit by him being there.
Oh, I hate you.
Sorry. And
No, you're
also,
not.
the stinger your stinger here moved into your barracks, so it got blockaded. See a little like pin icon on my stinger. If you click on it, little red thing lets it know that it's not moving next turn. It's stuck down for now.
Oh, nice. Well, that's good.
But it also has bombs, so it's going to be bombing on your barracks there.
Oh, mother forker.
So it does bombard 1, means it does 1 damage to your barracks when it attacks. It also does 3 damage to this colony ship here, which only has 3 health. So once again, I'm abusing your poor colony ships.
That's-
I don't mean to, it just keeps happening.
God damn it.
The barracks is very handy though. As long as that's there, it's kind of like a good defensive point because it has like has big like infantry defense values. It has it stops like invasions. I'm not using invader, but it also has like a lot of health. It can resist bombs. It's handy.
Right. I'm tired of your shit. Okay. I totally forgot I had cards I could play in the battle sector. God damn it. Okay, that's fine.
So, how long in total have you actually been working on this again? It's
Less than a year, it sounds like. That's incredible.
Yeah, I was trying to get Seb's exact number. Okay, Seb, how long have you been working on the GalaCollider? Would you say from start to now?
From the time it started as a paper game, it would be, I think, going on 2.5 years now.
Wait, it was a paper game?
Yeah, there was 6 months of tons of testing done on the machination engine to make sure that all the friction and economics and everything was working as a paper game first.
How did this play out as a pen and paper game?
Well, you basically, I mean, I've designed lots of card games, physical games as well as digital ones, and basically, you just throw up a whole bunch of stuff in Illustrator, put some temporary art on it, print it, cut it, throated sleeves with some cards in the back. I think I have like a box of Magic common cards that I use for that, and invite people over to play, either game designers or people who are really into 4X games or card games. And the first through playthroughs, tons of rules are still being changed, and core, very, very basic fundamental things were really important to work out, like how many resources should your homeworld give you versus the worlds you encounter. I had a curve in mind for the game. Like I wanted there to be 3 or 4 turns on average for a normal sized map of the early game, and then I wanted a very long, tense mid game, and then a very fast closing end game, because the end game is where you want it to end quickly. So yeah, it just worked out a lot with the math and the numbers, and came up with mechanics like stacking and all kinds of other stuff during that phase.
Oh,
More fights going on here. You can see the little replay engine is spinning around, showing us all the stuff we did.
Oh.
You played a heat sink on me. I saw that heat sink.
that was funny. I had that heat sink, so why not? I figured I'd use
you
it.
killed both my rhinos now. No more raiding for me, I guess.
Woohoo! Right. I like
What do you
killing
know?
your. I like killing your ships. It's fine. It's a good time. It's always a good time. Let's build one of these. Okay, so we built a frigate. Oh. Can I do another one? Oh, yay! Okay, cool. It's always a good time. Yeah, I could see, like, how many players do you think will be the upper limit for a game? Like 4, 6, 8? What are we talking?
Have no idea yet. I'm hoping at least 8, but I could see a map with 16 or 32 people on it happening if the technology supports it. I don't see why not.
Well, how big would that map have to be? Like, how big are you guys planning the maps to get? Because I think I saw the biggest map is 32 sectors right now?
Of the random sectors we have, it's currently 12, 18, and 24.
24, I'm sorry. Okay. But how big
24 is actually pretty big. It does take quite a while to play through a 24-sector game.
Well, that's if it's one-on-one, but if it's more people, it would be shorter.
Yeah, it's like if it's, say, a free-for-all game, and let's say we ramped it up and it was like way up there in like crazy amounts of number sectors, I'm sure we could have like a longer game too. It's obviously it's a different little beastie, right? Because you got to first make the one-on-one game work, and then try and see if you can make some crazy free-for-alls work. But who knows? Maybe we end up with 48 sector maps for free-for-alls. It's possible.
That'd be awesome. I could see, like,
It'd be huge, but maybe.
Yeah, it'd be huge. But if you get enough people playing, and you get now, are you also like gonna have teams, like Team A versus Team B versus Team C?
Yeah, we definitely want team mode at some point, and then who knows, maybe a team free-for-all mode will even come in there too at some point.
Oh, that'd be great. So sorry, go ahead.
And because turns are simultaneous, like if you're doing a free-for-all match, you're going to have to also make decisions on who you're shooting at. Like if there's 3 people all in the same sector, you could say to, Bob, you're like, hey, Bob, let's shoot on the other guy. And then I don't know if you ever played the game Diplomacy, classic board game, but because you have to pre-plan all your moves and all your attacks, you could say you're doing one thing, but then backstab someone else. So there's like a lot. If your students are doing like a large free-for-all map, like let's say we did manage to get all the way up to 32 people or 30-ish people on one map, that's almost like you're playing a campaign at that point. Maybe,
Right.
turns aren't like head to head. Maybe they're done like 24 hours. So you do one turn. Each turn is, could be like 5 minutes for your turn, but you're just kind of doing it over a month or something in that case. And so then you're playing something that's more like epic and long standing and trying to figure out who you're going to be playing with, and could be playing teams. And I think those kind of larger maps, larger games, it would be great if when we're scaled up to that, assuming we can scale up to that, that we also include even more things to keep the game fresh in the middle of it, like if events or cataclysms or things that change throughout the game, like maybe on turn 12, a couple stars go supernova and things change and some new alien shows up or something. I don't know. There's a lot that we can do in terms of adding features to the game. It's really like a pretty big open-ended platform, and even just the maps right now. We're doing random maps, but we have a map editor, so we can design maps at whim too. And each sector, if you click on it, is a card. So we can also create any kind of ability, effect, and 3D model artwork that we want for any sector on the map too. So there's a lot of potential just in the maps to keep the game fresh and changing, like wormholes, gravity wells, radiation areas, and et cetera, and so forth.
Right.
So are you guys going to be adding like a play by email then? Because it being so large. I joke, of course, but I mean...
So yeah, when I say by play-by-mail style, I mean that's what we're going to be implementing first in Alpha 5. So the next release, not Alpha 4, is what we're in now. And the reason we're going to start with that is in order to have a lobby where you can find an opponent in like 30 seconds, you need to have a lot of people online at the same time. So our thinking is we want to build up to that. And the best way to do that is to first implement the ability to just save a game, and then someone else can log in at any time and take their turn. And then when both or all people have taken their turn, the game is ready for the next turn and everyone gets notified. So, it also works naturally if it's on iOS or Android devices, because you can get a little notification like it's ready for your turn. And so that's what we're going to start with first, and that'll allow us to kind of build a player base. And then once there's enough people, then we can implement like head-to-head clocks where you can just go in a lobby and find someone and play immediately.
Now,
Nice.
are there going to be like maybe other game modes? Like everyone has to capture someone has to capture this one system. It's really well defended, and the first person who gets it wins. Shit like that. Are you going to have other like game modes besides the normal 4Xe conquesty thing here?
Yeah, and we already do have a little hint of that in one of the maps. It's called the Eye, and the center sector is a really valuable sector, but it's really risky to try and take it because it's right in the middle. So you kind of don't want to weaken yourself by trying to go for it. But yes, we do plan on adding other game modes. I think I mentioned co-op, with raid and survival. I mean, those are quite different. Like a survival mission might just be survive for 12 turns. So you're playing a team game, 4 players, or maybe it's just solo versus the computer, and you just need to survive this onslaught. Or there could be, first person to invade or colonize a particular world, and that world could have AI controlled units there, like neutral units. So there's definitely tons of room for doing unique kinds of scenarios in the game.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so before I ask this next question, which engine are you using? I totally forget. Which engine are you using for this game?
Unity.
Okay, so is it going to be cross-platform? Like, are we talking like, can someone on an iPad play someone on the PC, for example?
Absolutely.
Oh,
It's already
nice.
possible.
Oh, wow, nice. That's beautiful. So I always ask this about developers who are using Unity, and I get different answers. So, is this game, will it be moddable, or is that not possible? What is the like what is the stance on modding for this? Like, can users make their own maps, for example, if they wanted to, or their own scenarios? Stuff like that.
I definitely want to let people make their own maps, their own potentially, also their own cards and artwork. That would have to go through, collaborative process with us to make that happen. But we want to also have people involved with that. We're also planning on having player activity in the game influence the game itself. So if you're doing a team match and there's an achievement end of the month, whoever scores highest, that team's name as well as the factions will get taken into the story, and then new cards and designs will go from that. And another thing we'd love to also include is alternative skins for ships. Like, let's say you want to create a steampunk themed set of 3D models.
Oh, nice.
We'd love to be able to provide a means for that to also be in the game. I think already with that, that's a lot. Maybe there's other modding options or opportunities that people can think of, and let us know and we'll consider it for sure.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Yeah,
So
I
in
don't
this game, you might have noticed I just fully invaded your one sector with my big Great Tree Dreadnought.
Oh, so that's your
Sucks
section?
to suck, Brian. Sucks to suck.
I definitely stole that. I made it orange instead of green.
I see that now.
Also, because that pushed my star count up to 51 there, you can see it's blinking, so that will
Oh,
end the game.
son of a bitch.
Snuck it right out from under you. While
Alright,
you were
does-
busy talking about Unity, I just snuck it right in there.
You bastard. All right, why doesn't someone else play? And I'll talk for a while.
And in fact, Seb, I'll let you play this next game if you want.
Oh, but there's no fucking shit. There's no.
Well, you
Yeah,
can't
you should
stream it.
probably keep playing, Brian. Go ahead, keep playing.
Okay. Fine.
We're counting on you, Brian. Earth is counting on you.
It's okay, keep sucking, man. It's all right. Don't worry about it.
I've been recruited by the Star League to defend.
Yeah. So can we talk a little bit about the symbology on the cards and what all these indicators mean? Because it's I've played like Magic the Gathering and various other card games, but I'm kind of at first glance I don't instinctively know what these things are.
So you mean like, say, like the modules on the cards, like what's a bombard or like an invasion or that sort of thing?
Yeah, it's just you have an icon with a number next to it, like, and
Yeah,
know,
yeah, those are the modules of
underneath
the game.
his underneath his central thing, he's got like a pink thing, a blue thing, and a yellow thing.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I can give a quick little run through of what the card types look like. Let me
Yeah,
just
sure.
run up another game quick.
Oh, I just started one.
Perfect. So I'll jump into that game. And it's in the eye. We're gonna play in the
Yeah.
eye.
Why not?
Alright. So we'll pull this up. And can you see like the stream okay? Because then I could just get Brian to kind of press the info button and we could talk about things as we go.
Yeah, I'm watching the stream.
So, if Brian, if you just click on one of your colony ships there at the start,
Got it.
see that little eye button there? Card. Click that.
The I button.
Yeah, the little eye for
Oh,
information.
yeah.
small case I.
Right next to the card. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Click that. It pulls up. So it pulls up kind of like the explanation for everything. So like you see the red on the bottom left of a card, the red there, that's its attack. On the card you can see the 0 attack. A colony ship has 3 hull. It's that little blue square. The numbers on the left beside the name, it's 1 for engine range. It means it can move once a turn. It's fuel cost of 1. That means it costs 1 energy to move the card. Top left of a card we see the card's build cost, which again is shown on the little info card. So 2 materials, 2 research for this colony ship. That little command cost where it says 2 command cost. That means that because it's a cruiser, it's a medium-sized ship, it takes up 2 of 5 of a sector's command. Each sector has 5 command total, and once you have 5 ships worth of command there, you can't have any more ships there. So it incentivizes you to kind of spread out your ships eventually and move them around and not have them all tucked into one area. Like big dreadnoughts take up 3 commands, the frigates, the small ships, they only take up 1 command. So you can stack up a bunch of frigates, but you really can't stack up dreadnoughts all that well.
So is a 5 versus 5 battle going to be the biggest fight that you get then? Because you can only get 5 in it.
Currently, there will be ways to cheat your command cost later to make it go up a bit. So your command cost in the sector maybe have 6 or 7, so you can have more. But for now, it's 5 on 5. Yeah.
Okay, so is the balance of ships set for however many command points they're worth, their equivalent of that many 1 command point ships?
generally that's the idea. It's like, so a dreadnought is going to be a big, powerful, bulky ship. You know, it's like a behemoth ship. And then like your frigate is going to be your small little scouting kind of ship. Think of the last game I played against Brian on turn 2. I threw like a bruiser at his core world. It was like a 1 health ship, and that was a frigate. It died like right away. Now if I was a dreadnought, it would have like 10 health instead, or 9 health instead. Like, they get way bigger. They cost way more resources too.
So it's better to bring one big ship than to bring 5 little ships, right? Because the little ships will die off quick.
It's not as simple as that, yeah.
It depends.
Also, big ships the bigger the size of the ship, generally the health of the ship scales faster than the attack, is another little subtlety. But your big ship is probably limited to shooting. Most ships can only shoot at one target. So if you have a big dreadnought and I have 5 little ships, you're only going to be able to kill 1 a turn, which is really bad if I'm attacking you, because if I have just 1 ship in your sector that survives battle, your sector is now considered contested, and that means you can't build anything in that sector anymore. Plus, if I can contest all your sectors, I just win the game immediately. That's one way to win the game. So if you only build big ships, you could have a serious problem. However, on the flip side of it, a big ship is really hard to take down. So if you use that aggressively to attack, it can be, I've had games where like I see a big ship coming and I like pull back basically like 3 sectors deep, and just to build up forces to like eventually take this thing out as it steamrolls through my space to try and get to my homeworld, or
right, because you're going to be able to hit it every sector that it comes through. So it's basically an attrition thing. Like, you wear it down as it gets closer to you.
That's definitely a strategy that works against a big ship, is you can wear them down, or you could do what you said, build 5 ships at once, have all 5 hammer it at the same time, so it just gets overwhelmed.
There's also some rock, paper, scissors in the game, because of the 3 different size classes of ships, frigates, cruisers, and dreadnoughts. We want eventually to add also fighters, like little tiny ones. But for now, there are those 3 size classes, and certain weapons do different damage to different size classes as well. So you can, if you know your opponent is building a deck, because either from scouting or from what you've seen, you're like, okay, I keep seeing these dreadnoughts, then that encourages you to build your ships that have anti-dreadnought weaponry as well. So there's that as well that also plays into it. And then certain cards only work on certain size ships.
Okay. So the deck building part of this, right? Because you get 6 cards at a time, so that kind of determines what can I do. So it's a little bit luck of the draw of what comes up, because there's times you'd probably want to do something and you just haven't pulled that card out yet. As opposed to like a Master of Orion kind of game, you're at liberty to do whatever you can afford to do. So I guess that would come into a balance factor of like, what do you stuff into the deck, because you want more of these to increase the odds that you're going to get it in your hand when you want it.
Yeah. That's definitely a part of it. The game starts with a deck size of 30. So 30 is pretty small for a deck size. You start with 6 cards, you have a 30-card deck, you already have 24 left. And because you can draw cards on the fly when you want, you can actually kind of swift through your deck quickly. But there is obviously like a randomized component to it. You want to find your card, and it's a matter of finding it.
Now, if I run to the end of my deck, am I out, or does it reshuffle?
It reshuffles, actually, and not only does it reshuffle, but the cards in your tech pool, the bottom left, you click that little button, those are like your Tech 2 and Tech 3 cards. They're your powerful late-game options. What they do is you buy them, they go into your discard pile. When your deck is empty, you now reshuffle those powerful cards into your deck, so now you can draw your really strong things. So let's say you buy a Tech 3 Dreadnought, this will be like a really beefy ship that's like really strong and menacing. The kind of thing that your opponent sees and they go, oh god, I think I might have just lost the game.
And then you can also use your tech pool to do like min-max strategies too. Like if your opponent is using a particular kind of technology, you can, if you planned ahead and had that available in your tech pool, you can buy it to counter something they're doing. So it's, using the Magic analogy, it's like having a sideboard of Magic, except instead of having to access it between games, you're actually pulling in cards in the middle of it.
Okay, so are those cards that you also determine are going to be there, or do they kind of, is it a modifier to an existing card? Like I have a ship in my hand and then I get the tech modifier and throw it on the ship, or is it actually a separate ship card?
The way the tech pool works is it's, so let's say I have a deck with 15 tech pool slots. The way it works is I take 15 separate cards and put them in those slots. But the idea is that they're my higher level cards. So the game, you start off with 30 cards, they're always tech level 1 cards. your tech level 2 and 3 cards are only ever in your tech pool. So to pull those cards out, you need to buy them and then draw them, and then they're like way more powerful to give upside for not being in your starting 30.
And then to answer your question, they're not upgrading current cards, although that's a mechanic we want to also have in the game. They're called upgrade cards. We've got like 7 types of cards planned. There's only 3 in the game right now. So right now, when you buy a card in your tech pool, it's a new card. It goes into your discard, and then those are new cards that you draw later. But we do plan on also adding in a card type called, God, it's been a long time. They're called mods in the game. And mods will be something that you play on a ship, for example, to add a new module or to change the card. And what the mods do is they will, so instead of like if you have an attachment in Magic, they're kind of hard to put in your deck because as soon as the card is attached to is dead, then you lose the attachment. And, there's been all these mechanics to try and make it work. But in our game, as soon as you play a mod, and, this was paper tested, so it's pretty defined already, the general concept of it. So if you mod a ship on the map, and actually it doesn't even have to be on the map when you play it, there'll eventually be like a blueprint screen where you can go to see all the blueprints of all the cards that are currently in your deck, and you can mod any of them. And as soon as you mod it, all copies that are on the map, in your discard, in your hand, everywhere, they all get modified by your changes. So you can change up your ships also using that technique in the future. We don't have that yet, so that's something coming.
I'm kind of surprised that it's actually an across-the-board upgrade kind of thing, because it's like I would think